Hi, everybody, and thank you for taking time out of your day to join us today. For those of you that don't know me, if this is the first time joining us, my name is Brenda Moynihan, and I'm the Director of Marketing and Outreach at the Kensington Assisted Living in White Plains. Tonight's presentation is called A Caregiver's Guide to Cultivating Soulfulness, featuring Dr. James Rouse. During our journey with Dr. James over the last 5 weeks, we learned many things, including terms such as kaizen, ikigai, eudaimonia, and harahachibu to assist us on our journey. Do you remember these terms? There'll be a quiz at the end this evening. No, I'm just kidding. Tonight is the last session of this 6-part series, and it's part 6, a day in the life of the best version of you every day. Before I introduce our speaker and speak a little bit about him, I'd like to briefly give you some information about Kensington Senior Living, or KSL for short, for those of you just joining us this evening. Kensington Senior Living was founded in 2010 by a leadership team with over 20 years of experience developing and operating premier senior living residences in the States and abroad. We have 7 communities operating throughout the country, and we're proud to offer care beyond what most other traditional assisted living communities can deliver. For example, high staff to resident ratios that exceed industry standards help deepen connections between our caregivers and residents. Pocket programs, which are small group activities tailored to different interests and abilities, provide opportunities for friendship and boost a sense of mastery. This 6-part series is brought to you through the collaboration of several of the Kensington Senior Living communities, including locations in White Plains, New York, Redwood City, Redondo Beach, and Sierra Madre in California, and our sister community in Reston, Virginia. In all of our communities, we are committed to providing outstanding care every day with the full spectrum of clinical support, including caring for those with Alzheimer's and additional dementias. And although tonight is the last installment in the series, I'm excited to tell you that we are hosting a 4-part book club series beginning May 5th called Kensington Notes. And we'll have more about that at the end of the presentation. And now I'm happy to welcome our speaker for this evening, Dr. James Rouse, or Dr. James as he likes to be called, and give you some information about him. Dr. James is a naturopathic physician, entrepreneur, wellness magazine founder, motivational speaker and trainer, author, impassioned athlete, Ironman competitor, father, and husband. He is committed to inspiring everyone to imagine and achieve the vibrant, high-performance lives we all deserve. His mission is to help us and guide us into a healthy lifestyle. Welcome, Dr. James.
Hey, Brenda, good evening. How are you?
Good. Hey, did you like that? Little nod to all those 4 terms?
I tell you, when you drop the eudaimonia, game over.
I love it. I love it. And remember, folks, we're going to have a quiz at the end, and you get a gold star if you know what all those terms mean.
Oh my gosh, Brenda, if you're going to ask me to spell those, then I'm already going to bow out. That is
Spelling doesn't count. Okay.
Brenda, I really appreciate you and this last 6 weeks. I just want to look you in the eye and just let you know how much I appreciate you. I love you. You're amazing. And this has been an incredible 6 weeks.
Listen, right back at you. It has been an incredible journey. And I'm sure all of my colleagues and all of the attendees agree. It's been a wonderful, uplifting message. And if you only take away a little bit, that's a little bit more to help you and everyone, right?
Absolutely, Brenda.
Now,
so I think tonight really for everyone is going to be about an opportunity for us. Yes, a little bit of review, but before we begin, I want to make sure that I recognize the whole Kensington family. So I want to say thank you to Brenda, to Susan, to Tanya. I also want to make sure Chris and Victoria and Jasmine know from the technology side how much we appreciate you for a flawless, literally incredibly well-supported opportunity for me to serve this incredible community. And, tonight, Brenda stole my fire. I was like, I want to drop the hara haichi bu. I want to make sure that we speak to all the different things. But before we begin tonight, I don't want us to forget probably the most essential message. And that is that what is that we're really hoping to bring from this experience and what we bring forward into tomorrow morning. So much like, oh my gosh, I've got to do this and I've got to do that. And you know what? Nothing is a should, nothing is a need to. I think it's really about moving from that kind of part of us. I like to say the 6 to 12 inch journey from our mind, which is kind of telling us all the things we need to do better. We just drop into our hearts. So let's just spend this next few minutes just dropping into our hearts and giving ourselves permission. Just kind of feel what it would be like if we were to kind of move into this next version, this next evolution of our truth. And I was speaking with Susan and Brenda yesterday about the book club that we're going to be launching next month. I'm super excited about. And making that distinction between willpower, we're very familiar with, like, I need willpower to change my diet. I need willpower to get back into my exercise. I want to really move this into a willingness. It's about saying yes. And really tonight, a little bit of review, but really a launching. And I want to hopefully have you stay to the very end, because I want to share a story with you about someone who changed my life when I really least expected it. And I think her story is going to be a tremendous up-leveling about what's possible for all of us. And I also want to share with my fellow Aries sister, Stephanie Harmon. It's her birthday, so let's all of us just send Stephanie love and blessings. And I know as an Aries myself, fire, but we also know that we love to have all this awesomeness centered around us. So happy birthday and many, many blessings to you. So everybody, I want to have us begin with the most important part of what we've been working on over this last 6 weeks. And as we kind of open ourselves to this idea of a day in the life, and that's what tonight's really all about. We've gone from week 1 where we're really focused on this idea about what it is that we could be doing in terms of this next version of ourselves and the co-creation of all the different things we could be doing around diet and exercise. And I thought, wow, it could be really cool? What if we just put together a day in the life? Because I can tell you 30 years of working with patients, when I put a program together and it was like a 30-day program or a 60-day program, people are just like, that just seems way too far out. I can't think even what I'm going to be doing tomorrow. So I want to bring it back. If we were to wake up tomorrow morning and we were to give ourselves permission to engage with this, not necessarily the history of where we've been in our self-care, but more about the vision we have for the self-care moving forward. And as we've moved through the idea of this version of ourselves going from epigenetics to what we're going to eat and how we're going to think, I thought it'd be kind of fun to say, you know what? I'm going to walk you through a day in the life, representing, expressing this version of you that I think you're going to love, that I believe you're going to feel like, oh my gosh, this is my truth. This is how I know I'd love to lead my life. And probably most importantly, an opportunity for you to witness yourself making good on your good intentions. I do believe none of us really need more information, but I believe all of us could use inspiration. We can Google anything. We can Google the perfect diet to help protect our brains. We can Google the most effective exercise to help us augment an epigenetic expression of longevity and greater joy and fulfillment. But ultimately, what we need is inspiration. Things I want to share with you about that idea of inspiration. So much of life is this extrinsic. You've probably heard of these different levers for motivation. One's intrinsic, the other's extrinsic. You can kind of think of extrinsic as like, how does it look to the world? And when we make changes, so often we associate it with, well, how's it going to look if I exercise and maybe I lose some weight? How's it going to look if I start eating better and I just look more radiant? And that can be somewhat motivating, but ultimately what we know is intrinsic motivation is the ultimate way to help us to make transformation. And a kind of a neat way to think about intrinsic is simply we connect it to something else. And when I've been around some of the most successful patients of mine who I've seen make tremendous changes in their life, they've connected it to how their life and how they transformed it became a catalyst, an inspiration for someone that they love. Intrinsically thinking about what they could be doing and how that representation could impact someone that they loved. So it was more about what is it that I see in myself versus what others see in me. And what's really interesting is that when it's like, how do I look, which is the extrinsic versus how do I feel? So let's just start with that idea this morning and this afternoon and tonight as we kind of embrace. So remember back 6 weeks ago, we talked about what we could do in the morning, and we had all these different things. The 5 M's was one of the things we kind of came up with together. The first was mantra, which was laying in bed. I'm on my pillow. I think to myself, okay, I want to envision the day that I want to have. How does it look? How does it feel? What could I be doing and how can I set that intention? We talked about laying in bed and literally putting your hand on your heart and producing oxytocin. Remember oxytocin? That's the love hormone. And when we kind of just connect with our heart, we just close our eyes and we envision this self without the filter, this self that's just coming from a place of love and joy, purpose, and fulfillment, orchestrates a hormonal chemistry of possibility. And then from there, we go from the mantra to movement, from movement to meditation, from meditation to breakfast or the meal, and next, the last M, the masterpiece, number 5. Mantra, movement, meditation, meal, masterpiece. So rather than saying, oh my goodness, I'm going to take all 5 of those on, I think tonight, let us commit to tomorrow morning, the first one, the mantra. Literally just connecting with our hearts. Tomorrow morning, all of us are just going to give ourselves permission to connect with our hearts. And we're going to be co-creating can look like, and what does it feel like? Remember what we know about this. It's just this one connection builds something called neuropeptides. Those are like the little workshop in our mind that literally start to facilitate change, a change in belief, a change in what's possible. Literally augmenting the neurochemistry that's associated with peace, possibility, joy. It's basically you giving yourself an opportunity to facilitate a forward momentum in your life. So you can take on all 5 if you go, oh my gosh, I'm ready. Or can we just commit to the first M, the mantra? And remember from the word mantra, which basically means from Sanskrit, it's a sacred utterance, a sacred phrase, a sacred vision, something that you hold sacred for yourself. So yes, it's spiritual, but it's also physiological and it's neurochemical, because once we say it, once we hold it in our mind, it literally finds a way of outpicturing itself in our life, in our movement. So from there, we're going to go from our mantra through the day. And I've got a couple of things I want to share with you. Number 1, remember we talked about the opportunity for moving our bodies? We said, well, you know what? You can do anywhere between 8 and 12 minutes. And that's what science tells us will start to generate changes neurochemically, help us in prevention of Alzheimer's, dementia, help our heart, but also help us to actually fortify a couple of key that literally help us to actually facilitate confidence. And I want to share with you something that when I learned this, I thought, oh my gosh, this is beautiful. The Latin for confidence is confidere, which means a deep, unwavering faith in one's true self. Confidence, a deep, unwavering faith in one's true self. And I really believe strongly that what we've really done most this past 6 weeks is maybe we've uncovered parts of ourselves, parts that we've lost, parts that we've put away, parts we said, I'm going to get to this when I have time. I'm going to start owning more of this power, more of this truth, more of this sacred when the time is right. I think tonight is a perfect time. We've got a group of literally hundreds of people, and we can sort of be a witness tonight for each other. Like, this is my time. I'm not going to delay. I'm not going to postpone my joy. I'm going to step into this next expression of my life. I'm going to use the word discipline in a brand new way. This is going to be the new word for tonight. Discipline comes from the word disciple, which means to teach. And disciple also means to be a student. So when you're a student of the life that you want to be leading, when do you feel most vital? When do you feel most strong? When do you feel most confident? When do you feel most? When I think about the mantra first thing in the morning, which gets me to move first thing, helps me to start to co-create a day that I really want to be expressing the truth of who I am, it's simply this. I don't want to ask myself what the world needs. I want to ask myself what makes me come alive. Because what the world needs are people who have come alive. What does it look like when you're most alive? What does it look like when you're feeling that sense of peace, that sense of joy, that sense of possibility? What does it look like when you become the student of your life, but the life that you are leading is something that you are absolutely feeling like, yes, this is an expression of who I am. This is an expression of me removing all the filters. This is me taking self-oppression and fully engaging in how I want my life to look. I understand now because I heard the science about self-care being a form of social activism. So I know first thing in the morning as I'm navigating my 5 M's or just the first M, and as I move this idea of movement, I'm doing it under the influence of that this demonstration of me moving my body, putting good food in my body, going out there on purpose, living my life in a spiritually aligned way, which simply means I'm being vulnerable, I'm being loving, I'm being open, I'm being kind. When we do that, people see this. Remember back in week 3, we talked about these things called mirror neurons, which are simply the way that people, when they lay eyes on you, that life, they can't help but want to emulate. They can't help but want to copy. They can't help but want to follow your lead. And as you're navigating each and every day, and you're looking at the different diets that we know that have been aligned with longevity and epigenetics, living above your genes, we know that a plant-based diet, also called the DASH diet, for also focusing on neurodegenerative delay, is the diet of choice. It's the Mediterranean way of eating. Lots of plants, healthy fats, nuts, seeds, fish. On top of that as well, lean proteins. And yes, we talked about Oregon Pinot Noir, particularly from the Dundee or the Willamette Valley. If that's something that we want to be bringing our life and our self-care, these are all the ways that we can be celebrating each and every day. And as we move into the nighttime, one of the practices that I think is probably kind of a linchpin to help all these other things happen. In fact, the University of California, Davis did a study where they said, if I have the intention that I want to move my body the following morning, I want to eat cleaner, I want to reduce the sugar, I want to move my body, I want to do all kinds of things. I've set my sort of self-care love list, and I want to up my chances of being successful. Guess what the number one linchpin for doing that was? Simply writing down before you go to bed 5 things that you're grateful for. 3 to 5 things that you're grateful for actually lifts and elevates the chances of the following morning that you will get up and you will eat cleaner. You'll move your body. You will speak to yourself in a way that's kind and generous. You know, when you think about gratitude, you think about that being an elixir for self-care. I really believe so strongly that this is an opportunity tonight, before you go to bed, to maybe look around your life. Remember we talked about the idea of doing an inventory of the things that help you to come alive? This is a time tonight where maybe all of us, we decide collectively that we are going to look at what it is that's possible. It gives us a sense of, oh my goodness, this is my opportunity to move out of that self-imposed place where I know that I'm holding myself back, and I move forward. I drop my ego about whether or not it's going to work out, whether or not I'm going to be right, whether or not I'm going to fall, fail, mistake. And it doesn't matter because I'm moving towards something greater. And I want to really encourage you to consider one of the most powerful things that we talked about 2 weeks ago, the necessity of being spiritual. Now, I want that to really be a word. That doesn't mean that we're not religious. It doesn't mean that we are religious. Spiritual, according to UCLA, means this: it's being open to the idea that we are going to express love, purpose, and vulnerability. We're going to express love, purpose, and vulnerability. And when we do that, we see longevity, success, happiness, lower disease rates, and an increase in positive impact on the people that we love. And we took back that, we say, okay, when UCLA says being spiritual simply means I'm going to be love, I'm going to be vulnerable, and I'm going to give myself the opportunity to live on purpose. And that leads me to something I have been wanting to share with you since the first time that we began. A month and a half ago, I almost shared the story with you, but then I thought, you know what, this needs to be said at the end. So you all take this story and you move into the next evolution of your life under the influence of someone who I knew and someone who changed my life. Her name is Mary. Mary. And I'm going to walk you back about nearly 30 years ago when I was in my residency. And I had the opportunity, and I use that word, like opportunity, to work Christmas Eve, which, you know what, totally honest. I didn't want to work Christmas Eve, but, I was the one who got chosen. We did kind of a short straw. I was the one who got it. So I was working Christmas Eve in the clinic. And before my shift was going to be over, I was thinking, all right, I think I'm going to get a chance to go home. Nothing really happened. No emergencies. The phone rang. They brought it up to the clinic. Dr. Rouse, there's a call for you. So I get on the phone and I said, hello, this is Dr. Rouse. And she said, my goodness, it's good to hear your voice. This is Mary Zarnicki. And I am so grateful to have an opportunity to let you know that I'm going to come in and see you right now. And I was like, oh my goodness, you're going to come in right now? And I wanted to kind of say, I'm going to be leaving in 2 minutes. And then something beautiful happened. A God moment, a spiritual moment, whatever you want to call it. The universe said, you wait, you wait. So I waited about 45 minutes and I was looking out the window. And just as I was getting ready to say, I wonder if they're really coming, I saw this pickup truck drive in. In this pickup truck, I could see two silhouettes. I could see a tall one and just a little bit shorter one on a bench seat, old style pickup truck, close together. I said, I wonder if that's her. And then I watched these two people walk hand in hand out of the pickup truck, literally snuggled in together. And they walked up to the clinic and she said, my name is Mary Zarnicki. I know who you are, and I am really grateful to lay eyes on you. And she said, my eyes see you, and I am grateful. So Mary gave me her tests. She gave me her file, which is about this thick. And she said, I've got pancreatic cancer, and I've been given 6 weeks. And I need more than 6 weeks. I've been told through the circles here in medicine here in Portland that you're very optimistic. And that's why I'm here to see you. will you work with me? Because I need more time than that. And I think that's when I realized more about medicine than just what an MRI would say, what blood work says, what objective testing says. And I put down her file and I said, I'm all yours. What would you like to do? And she said, you know what? I'm so grateful you asked. I've got 3 things I have to do. Number 1, I'm going to finish high school. I'm 85 years old and I didn't finish high school. I fell in love with this guy and I married him when I was 16, when I became pregnant with our first of 8 children. So I want to finish high school. Number 2, I would really, really love if you would help me and Harry finish a couple of projects that we have to do around the house. All of our kids have moved away and we're just getting a little bit older and I'm kind of tired. I need some help with wallpapering. And lastly, I've promised Harry since our last child moved out of the house nearly 50 years ago that I promised him we would get him a black lab. So, would you help us? And I said, you bet. And before I know it, I was in the pickup truck with Mary and Harry, and we were heading to the Dumb Friends League that has a 24-hour hospital, and we found a black dog. It wasn't a black lab, but it was a black dog. And we grabbed that black dog and we threw it in the pickup truck and off we went. They left me off at my house and she said, I'll see you the day after tomorrow. Merry Christmas. And the day after that, I showed up at their house and we said, okay, we're going to go to Clackamas Community College and we are going to petition that they get you into the GED. Actually, she said, that's not going to work. Into a real class with kids. I want to go in and be around kids. It'll be good for me. So January 3rd, later that week, we enrolled Mary into Clackamas Community College. She had 2 more classes that she needed to do. And once we got enrolled in those classes on the way home, you bet, we stopped at their house and we spent 2.5 full days wallpapering. And I'll never forget what it was like to witness Mary watching Harry wallpaper. I get a chance to see love. I get admiration and adoration. I get a chance to see presence. It helped me to understand how to slow down my life. It helped me to understand what medicine really is. Medicine is something, according to a lot of indigenous cultures, medicine is something we have inside of us. When we get around the right people, when we're pursuing our purpose, when we're living with ikigai, that's medicine. And isn't it interesting? We know now that when we live with purpose, we fight inflammation. When we live with purpose, we extend our longevity. Well, these next several months, Mary called me every week, 1 week after her due date, when she was not supposed to be here anymore. She said, I'm still here. I keep on passing tests. 6 months later, Mary was called to graduate from high school. And she had just turned 86. And I believe this is just how God works. This is how the universe works. This is how it all works. Because Mary's last name was Zarnicki, she was the last one to be called up on stage. 200 between the ages of 17 and 19, and then Mary. And as they called her up, and I think we can all remember being in a graduation, possibly our own graduation. You're called up, you're given your diploma, you kind of look to the audience, maybe spot your parents, someone you love, smile, get a picture, and then you leave the stage. Mary stood up there and people just clapped. And when they were kind of motioning her to leave the stage, she stepped forward and clapping continued. I think Mary was up there for maybe 8-10 minutes, and the whole was focused on the front row where Harry, her 8 children, and her 26 grandchildren were lined up all across the front row of that auditorium, clapping. And she just was looking at them, smiling, tears, taking in life. Later that afternoon, we went back to her house for the graduation party. And we were taking pictures, we were eating, and I just was marveling at life. And I was taking in someone who was living all the way, fully. Mary said to me that afternoon, she said, I wasn't ready to go. I had some things I needed to do. She goes, I made peace with some people I had a hard time forgiving. I called every single one of them. Every single one of them. Yes, I got the dog. Yes, we wallpapered. Thank you. She called me Jimmy. She said, thank you, Jimmy, for helping me with the dog and the wallpaper. And she said, I got an opportunity to do something. I got an opportunity on some intentions. I had promised my parents I would finish high school. They're no longer here, but I did just that. She reached over and she brought Harry in close. And she said, I also had the opportunity to have someone witness me living the way that they always knew I was, but sometimes I talked myself out of. Sometimes I had dimmed my light to make others more comfortable. Think about that right there. At age 86, 6 months after her prognosis of no longer being here, she said, I had learned not to dim my light to make others more comfortable. I finally decided it was time to turn on my light all the way. A few minutes later, Mary sat in this giant wicker chair, and she had Harry on one side. She had the youngest grandchild here, her 8 children, all of the grandchildren flanked around her. And I was charged with taking a picture on the veranda in Portland, Oregon. Mary holding her diploma, being held by her whole family. And I said, Mary, are you ready? Are you ready? I was asking her if she was ready for me to take the picture. But what Mary did in the next moment was kissed Harry, looked around and said, I love you, put her hand on her heart, and she closed her eyes, and she passed away. She passed away fully alive. She passed away fully with her light on, being held by all that mattered. I share that with you because I do believe this is about purpose. We talked about eating plants. We talked about taking a 10-minute walk. We talked about holding your heart and producing hormones. But ultimately, what this soulful journey really was intended to be about was to remind you to live now and facilitate anything that you love into living now. Give yourself permission to move into this next evolution of being the truth, living your truth, expressing your truth. And don't you dare dim your light to make the world more comfortable. Let the world lay eyes on you fully so it can emulate you living fully. It has been such an honor, such a blessing to be a part of this incredible experience, surrounded by such beautiful people. And Brenda, I want to bring you hopefully back and let you, I know, right? I mean, it's funny, right? You asked me to come and talk about soulful living, and we did a lot of cool stuff this last month and a half, but there is nothing cooler than living your life on purpose, everybody. If a side effect happens, you eat more broccoli, awesome. If you get in a 20-minute walk, good for you. But just don't dim your light to make someone else more comfortable. The world needs to see you fully awake, fully alive. Do a service. Begin here and let the world.
Unbelievable, unbelievable story. I mean, folks, what do you think? I know that you're out there. I see that you're there listening to everything the past 6 weeks tonight. That wonderful, unbelievable story with Mary and Harry. Amazing, truly amazing.
Yeah, everything I ever needed to learn about medicine was there.
And I have people, attendees that are crying because they're telling me, send me a handkerchief. Unbelievable. Amazing, truly amazing. And folks, we have a couple of minutes. Do you have any comments, any questions that you have for Dr. James? It's been an unbelievable journey. We've learned so much. And for my friends who want to be tested, and Dr. James, you mentioned a couple of things. Harahachibu.
Harahachibu, Okinawan for eating 80% full. People are like, okay, so what's the secret behind these Okinawans? Why are they living to 100 more than anybody else? Well, there's a lot of things. Ikigai being one, living on purpose, having a reason to get up in the morning that's bigger than them. That's what Ikigai basically means. And when they eat, they get just to about 80% full and then they stop. If we eat till we're fully full, we create more systemic inflammation, which in turn increases our disease risk. So Harahachibu, just eating slow enough where you go, you know what? I think I'm good. Because studies show that 80% is pretty good. It's just when we kind of eat quick or we're distracted. Here's a great thing, Brenda. Let us all commit to never, ever, ever eating in front of the news ever again. Why? Because when we're watching the news, our pancreas, which produces digestive enzymes, stops producing digestive enzymes and produces stress instead, cortisol, and we actually keep on eating more because we're not registering being full. So just turn off the Harahachibu.
We have a comment. Great program, amazing story. I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree. Someone has written in, can you talk a little bit about the DASH diet?
Absolutely. The DASH diet is, you're probably asking because it's very, very famous for people to follow for heart health and particularly for hypertension. But what we're knowing now is that a lot of great research within the dementia, cognitive decline, and Alzheimer's community, researchers have found out that this is always the best way to follow, combining the DASH diet alongside of the Mediterranean diet. And this is what they're calling now helping to slow neurodegenerative decline. So it actually is very brain protective as well. So we want to go Mediterranean, lean proteins, lots of healthy fats. We talked about almonds, walnuts, macadamia nuts, 2 to 3 servings a day, wild fish. But also interesting enough, Brenda, this is so cool, is that they've talked a lot about olive oil more and more. And they're saying olive oil is something that after you're done sauteing your vegetables or having a salad, go ahead and just give a good pour of olive oil on everything before you eat it. And that's going to help you assimilate the antioxidants that are associated with the DASH diet, but also truly powerful when it comes to protecting our brains. So that's neurodegenerative support system for your brain health.
Someone had called me earlier and they wanted to know about the mantra. What should their mantra be? I told them that I would bring it up during our meeting today. What do you think?
You know, I think it has to be something that makes you feel possible. It could be a picture of your loved ones, could be a picture of family, could be a picture of a pet, could be a picture of a patient. And for me, I think I shared this with you a couple of weeks ago. Mine is really quite evolved over the years. It's life lies open to me. It's rich, it's full, abundant. My thought, which is my key to life, opens all. I am one with infinity, I am one with divinity. I realize this unity and I proceed on my way as one who knows that God goes with me into an eternal day of infinite privilege. I've only to open the portals of my soul and accept that which is ready to express through me. Today, I fling these portals wide. Today, I am the instrument through which my best life flows and grows. So that's my mantra. Yes, I worked on it for about 25 years to really get it right, but it can be peace. It can be love. It can be purpose. It can be joy. It can be gratitude. Whatever it is. You know, Brenda, you and I and Susan talked yesterday about the whole idea of defining between being good and being true. Mm-hmm. And especially here at Kensington, this community, we are really good. We're good people. We do good things in the world. But sometimes good can get in the way of being true. Giving over and over again, but not bringing ourselves into that giving. I really believe the most important thing we can learn from Mary's story, here she was, 85 years old, with pancreatic cancer, given no hope. And she decided to get really, really true about the things that she needed to still do in her life before she went, before she felt peaceful. She said she made like 87 phone calls to people she needed to forgive or make sure they knew how much she loved them. She wallpapered, she got a dog, she graduated from high school at 86 years old.
Unbelievable.
So there you go. Purpose. Have purpose be your mantra. Whatever feels good in your heart.
Folks, any other questions or comments for us tonight? Well, I'd like to thank you all for joining us on this wonderful 6-week journey. All of my Kensington colleagues, especially Susan Evans, Chris, Victoria, and Jasmine, and especially you, Dr. James. It's been a wonderful, wonderful, uplifting, energetic journey. And folks, for those of you who want to continue the journey, I had mentioned it earlier. The first Wednesday of every month, if you could mark your calendar, this is starting May 5th, and we're going to go every month for 4 months through August 4th. And we are going to have a book, an uplifting book. We're going to review it, but it's not going to be your regular book club. So this is called Kensington Notes, kind of like if you folks remember from your high school or college days, Cliff Notes, that little cheat sheet Cliff Notes, kind of like that, where we'll kind of get the best out of the book, and Dr. James will talk about it, Sometimes we'll have an author, the author of the book. So again, if you'd like to continue on this journey, please check back in a couple of weeks at the Kensington website, www.thekensingtonwhiteplains.com. We'll have all of the information, and we'll also send you the information how to join this club. So thank you all for joining us on this wonderful journey. Thank you again, Dr. James. I still have the feeling of Mary and Harry. I can't get that out of my head, as I'm sure the rest of the attendees. I thank you for even giving us that wonderful, wonderful story. Thank you all. Thank you.
Brenda, don't get it out of your head. Have it drop. Have it drop 12 inches into your heart, and let that serve you the way it served me for the last 30 years. And everyone, I love you guys. This has been an amazing blessing for me to be a part of your community. Brenda, thank you for inviting me in. Susan, thanks for being a catalyst, and the whole Kensington community. Thank you for being so loving and open and to allowing me into your world. It's a sacred space that you have here. So it's been an honor and a blessing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. I hope you all have a wonderful evening.